Hi, Namaste. My name is Henry Jolicoeur. Today I am presenting a series of quotes of the Buddha that I filmed doing a pilgrimage in Sri Lanka and India in 2010. I have been interested in Buddhism since I was a teenager because for me, the quotes of the Buddha is just common sense. Over the years, I have taken part in many Buddhist meditation retreats in Canada, in the United States, in Thailand, and it has helped me to have a better understanding of my mind. Now there is many schools of Buddhism. I like the schools that are vegetarian because I'm a vegetarian and animal rights activist since 1969. I especially like schools of Buddhism that teach what is called metta, or developing the bodhicitta, meaning developing a heart of loving kindness and compassion. In 2023, I took part in a series of lectures by His Holiness the Dalai Lama at Dharamshala. And for many days, the Dalai Lama insisted that developing a heart of loving kindness is what is most important in Buddhism. He actually said, my religion, in a few words, is to have a warm heart. Now on my channel, I speak a lot about Hinduism and meditation within the Hindu religion. Scholar like Robert Thurman that have studied deeply Hinduism and Buddhism say that at its origin, Buddhism and Hinduism is the same, especially the philosophy of Advaita as taught by Adi Sankaracharya and in modern time by Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharishi. I hope that these quotes will be an inspiration for your life. Namaste, this is Henry. I'm in the Museum National of Sri Lanka in Colombo. I'm standing in front of a 10th century statue of Goddess Durga. Over thousands of years, Buddhism and Hinduism has intermingled here in Sri Lanka, for there's been dozens of invasions from South India over the last 2,000 years. We must remember that Sri Lanka and India have been two separate masses of land for only 7,000 years, which is not much when we compare to the history of the planet itself. I'm standing in front of a Shiva Lingam dating 9th century. Shivaism was very present in Sri Lanka for thousands of years. There's been over thousands of years, different invasions from South India, and they brought the religions of South India that was mainly Shivaism. So this beautiful Shiva lingam from the 9th century is a perfect example of these traditions intermingling in Sri Lanka. I am standing by the side of a Buddha dating the 9th century. Buddhism in Sri Lanka goes all the way back to the 2nd century BC. One of my favorite quotes of the Buddha, he says, to teach these simple truths to all people that you can. And number one is to have a generous heart. The Buddha talks a lot about opening one's heart, being loving and compassionate to oneself and to humanity at large. And number two, have a kind speech. And number three, live a life of compassion and service. If you do this, says the Buddha, these actions will not only renew your own life, but it will renew humanity at large. The Buddha said, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream about the future. Concentrate your mind in the present moment. The Buddha said that if we could only realize the miracle of one flower, our whole life would change. I'm standing next to a 9th century bronze at the Colombo Museum. It's a beautiful piece of art from the 9th century. The Buddha is called Avalokiteshvara. Now, the teaching of the Buddha is pure and simple. One of my favorite quotes of the Buddha is, believe nothing, no matter where you read it in any scripture or whoever told you that this was the truth. Unless it agrees with you, do not believe it. Do not believe it even if I tell you that this is the truth. It must make sense to you. The Buddha said, everything has a beginning and an end. Make peace with that, and your life will be well. The Buddha said, never see that which has been done, only see what remains to be done. Naturally, he is talking about our path to enlightenment. Whatever is done is done. Now, what has to be done for the mind to become pure, for the heart to become pure, to experience the blissful state of enlightenment? The Buddha said, better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that will bring peace. The Buddha said that happiness does not depend on what you have. It doesn't depend on who you think you are. Happiness only depends on your state of mind. The Buddha said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it outside yourself, for the truth resides in your own heart. The Buddha said The way is not the sky, the way is the heart. The Buddha said, hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal law. One of my favorite quotes is, there is only two mistakes that you can do on the path to enlightenment. One is not going all the way to enlightenment, and the other one is not starting. The Buddha said, it doesn't matter how many holy words you read or how many holy words you speak. What is the good of all these words if you do not act upon them? Namaste, this is Henry in the great temple of Ashoka Raman in Colombo, Sri Lanka. This is one of the most famous temples in Sri Lanka. An excellent place to remind oneself about the process of enlightenment. The Buddha said, I teach only one thing, dukkha's, suffering, and the way out of suffering. To be in the present moment, he said, when in a state of meditation, focus your attention on your breath. While you're breathing in a long breath, be aware that you are breathing a long breath. When you are breathing a short breath, be aware of your breathing a short breath. It was a process to bring the attention in the present moment as the breath goes on automatically, that we want it or not. Some Buddhist tradition says that this was the main teaching of the Buddha, to bring the attention to the breath. Lord Buddha talked about compassion, the way of the heart. To have a loving and kind heart. There is a branch of Buddhism that is called metta, a process of loving kindness, to develop the bodhicitta, an attitude of loving kindness toward oneself and toward others. One of my favorite quotes by Buddha on the subject of death is that if a man has practiced dharma, good action, good living, enlightened living all of his life, there is no fear of death whatsoever. For the enlightened knows that he is not the body, he is not the mind, he is the eternal self. And the Buddha said, you should do the work yourself. For the Buddha only shows the way to nirvana and enlightenment. The Buddha said, for those who are ready for enlightenment, the door of deathless state is always open. Nirvana, always accessible. The Buddha said, holding on to anger is like grasping at hot coals with the intention of throwing it to someone else. Realize you are the one that will get burned. He who drinks deep the Dhamma lives happily with a tranquil mind. The wise man ever delight in the Dhamma made known by the Noble One. Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace. So we are about to go visit the most holy relic in Sri Lanka, the Temple of the Tooth. what you're seeing behind me is the actual door of the temple where the tooth is kept. This is the container where the relic of the tooth of the Buddha is kept. I am standing in front of one of the holiest places for Buddhists of all denominations around the world, the Bodhi tree, where Siddhartha Shakyamuni, the Buddha, attained enlightenment in the year 565 before Christ at the age of 35. According to the tradition, although the Buddha spent about 7 weeks around this tree and this area, he actually experienced enlightenment within a period of 7 days. He would have made a vow that he would not remove himself from the Bodhi tree until he reached enlightenment or nirvana. If any picture is worth 1,000 words to show how alive and well the Buddhist religion is, you can look at all these monks. A monk just told me that some pledge to do 1,000,000 prosternation like this. And some take vows that they will do this a minimum of 100,000 times. Pilgrim turning the wheel of Dharma.